Welcome everybody to the Tipped and Stiff podcast with your hosts Cade and
Jarod Sturridge.
It's been an okay week for me. You know, the last episode we had was with Case. Everyone check that out. It was a very fun and exciting, exhilarating guest episode with him. It was very cool to have a kind of a secret member of the podcast on the podcast. So very cool. So check that out if you haven't. Yep. I had a moment yesterday.
What kind of moment? What do you
at
mean?
Work, I had a moment at work with a fellow employee.
Oh, okay. Like an older person?
No, he's around my age.
Do I know him?
No.
Okay.
You know. And I feel like I have extremes. And sometimes only that.
No. No, come on. Hey, you're being hard on yourself.
I feel like I live only within like three extremes.
Okay.
Either extraordinarily angry, extraordinarily sad, or extraordinarily energized. Those three things. And I pop into them depending on a second's notice. Really. I get ping-ponged around each one. And yesterday, somebody... so we recorded on Sunday. So on Saturday of February or January 29th, someone tried stealing a sale from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a guest who
while the guest was there?
I do sales. So, you know, it's kind of like the whole thing, having people come in.
That's all the money.
They were people who came in, who I had worked with before, who I had in my little iPad to keep track of everybody. And he greeted them, and they walked away from him, and they found me, and they went, "It's you again. Do you remember us?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, "We never got a text message or something like that." And I was like, "Did this guy ask if you were working with someone when you came in?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Really?" So I went up to him, and this is when I felt like I went to an extreme, because he literally walked back. I was in front of people. I was like, I don't care. And he walked. I'm like, "Hey man." I was like, "Did you ask who those people were working with?" And I'm like inches. I'm like inches away from him.
Is he average
He's
height?
right at my height.
Okay.
Too. And he's just looking at me with this mask on. I was like, "Did you fucking ask who those people were working with?" And he goes, "Yes." He goes, "Yes, I did." I was like, "You promise? You better fucking promise." And because I knew he was lying. And he goes, "I don't need to promise when I say yes, that is my word." And I said, "I'll fucking remember that." And I walked away because I'm like, I was like, I want him to do it again because then I'll slash his tires.
And that's a different extreme. So sometimes one extreme catapults you into the other extreme.
Right. It was not nice. And people witnessed him do it. And they were like, "He lied."
And the guest said.
And I went, "He did lie.
Yeah.
We lied. They died." That's what happened. And that upset me. I was very annoyed at that for a moment. Because, I was like, I bust my ass here to make the fucking number ting up. And someone's trying to fuck with my shit. I don't really appreciate that. But so for some reason I feel like the other day somebody, there was another instance where somebody was angry about one of their sales being stolen by another sales member. And they went on to me, you talk to him. And so I waited a day and I was like, "Hey man, what do you know about this?" And they're like, "I don't know. I didn't mean to do that, blah, blah, blah." And we went into this thing and I was like, "Just fix it. And there won't be any problems." And it was fixed. And for a weird moment, I was like, I shouldn't be in this position and I shouldn't invest myself into this because this is going to go down a weird road really quickly. I don't want to be people at my work. I really like where I work. Yeah. I enjoy where I work. I have a good time. Everyone there is extremely nice and I get along with everybody. And, except one person. I don't get along with them. And there was the person I got mad at. And, people are like, you just like kind of, they're like, the way that I just be me at work. That's what I do. Like I try to present myself the same way I try to present myself to everyone else. I don't really care that it's a workplace environment. So when that happens, it's like, I don't really need to be involved in this like Godfather, we turn to someone when you can't turn to the managers to solve this problem for me.
I was gonna say, it sounded like you're like the mobster of the furniture store.
I don't need to be that.
No, but wouldn't it be nice if you could and there was like less consequences than there are? You know, because it is sometimes like when I was younger, you know, I had a friend who he took things very personally to the point where like he would actually slash people's tires that wronged him. Usually it was women.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, who like wronged him. But he ended up harming himself. He ended up in like a ward or something, and that. I'm just saying.
You're just telling us. I get it. No, I get it.
No, it's a warning.
It's a warning.
It's a TS. What is it? A PSA.
PSA.
A PSA. I almost said TSA. It's a PSA because, I mean, I know that you could probably handle that kind of lifestyle. Maybe you are pretty deep in The Sopranos, but I don't know if. You gotta take it one day at a time. Right. Know? If it happens over and over and over and over again,
then something needs to happen.
You know, then it's clearly a symptom of something else, and you gotta take it into your own hands. So I guess the thing that's the thing about this new kind of work environment that I feel like is developing in people in our generation, where it's very much about like, we're a family and we're a community and like we're looking out for each other. And it's because, you know, the structure of family has been destroyed in this country, but it's also because
this is true.
Because they don't want a nihilistic generation to not work for companies to make them money.
They want a nihilistic generation that will work for them and make them money.
Right. And they do that by creating a pretend family environment.
This is true.
But we've talked about this a lot when you just started that job, and I told about my job at Amazon, how it's all like, you know, it's kind of a rhetoric to make you not want to unionize in a sense, and it's to make you think that like these bosses are like parental figures who always have your interests in mind,
right?
When they really don't, in a sense. They'll have your back when you have to stand up for yourself.
I will say this is the first job I've ever had where my bosses are kind of mean it. Like I've had times where there was moments where I'm like, I need you to pull through, like asking them to pull through for me real quick. And then they do. And they're very, that's one thing I really appreciate about that environment. It doesn't feel cold. As you imagine a sales job would feel. You would imagine a sales job feels really cold, but I don't really feel that way. It feels very different. And I think it's just because everyone, there's something about, and maybe I'm just talking about, and I know this is weird I'm just talking about my job, but there is something interesting about being on a sales floor that I really like. Something about like this high energy, everyone is like hungry for more. And I really like being around that. Like it's like the bell rings and it just like everyone lines up, and then like they look at like people need to fall into my web,
right?
And then they need to like me, and they need to buy from me.
They look for an in to a situation. They look for like clues that can earn them money,
to earn them trust. Yeah, trust
to earn ultimately respect themselves,
financial gain.
Yeah,
I had a woman come in today. This is how this works, because it's amazing to me to think that there's people going to school for 4 years who intend to be in sales without ever being on a sales floor.
Yeah.
That is amazing to me. Because there's some people who don't have it. That's just a fact. There's some people who can't do it.
You have graduates that work with you?
No, I'm just saying for other fields who go in the attention. I want to be in sales, and they're going to school for 4 years. And it's like, do you know, like that one-on-one? Like you can talk, but like how about getting someone from a product to your bank account? Like that's it's not easy. Not everyone can do that. And today this is how crazy it has to be. Like when you really think of like the confidence that you have to like maybe fake sometimes to do. I had a woman come in, younger woman, was on the phone when she came in and didn't really ignore me, but she like used I'm on the phone to like get past me kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I waited until she sat down on the couch, and I went up to her and I was like, hey, I want to do this. I want to just tell you about the sale, blah, blah, blah. What are you did you just move? Are you replacing? You know, and she was looking for couches. And she's like, yeah, all this thing. I literally was like, okay, what do we want? What do we need? She's like, this. I brought her to the first set and I said, this is available in this and this. She went, okay. She saw a different set, sat in it, went back to the one I originally sold her, and she said, I like this one. I said, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It took 10 minutes to make a $1,600 sale. Like, that's, you have to do that. And a lot of people,
that doesn't just happen.
When a lot of people get into that position, they're like, well, why don't you take a look around? Well, why don't I show? I don't know. Why don't we look at delivery dates? Have you shopped anywhere else? What are those places? Like, they get into this fucking web of like questions of like, what have you done? And it's like, no, fuck that. They're here and now. This is where it's happening. They're done. Mm-hmm. Once you enter the door, your shopping experience is now over. And that's what
called manifestation.
That's what it has to, dude. It's weird because where I work, they make that like a really big deal. They're like, you need to manifest what you're gonna do today.
Yeah.
And like, I remember one time my boss was like, what do you want the next guest to be? And I'm like, I want the next guest to be a $5,000 sectional. And my next guest was a $5,000 sectional. And it's really weird. Like they like the gain confidence. You listen to people, but that's a skill. That's a skill to just listen to someone, immediately adjust their needs, and go, this is the one you want. And then that's it. Then they hand you money. And then they just give you money, like a lot of it sometimes. And you're just like, why are you, I'm 21. Why would you do that? Dude, like, it's amazing. Like, because I have to look at people's like finance applications. They give me their social security cards, like their numbers. Ooh. Like, I have access to really sensitive information that I probably shouldn't have. Like, people give me their credit card numbers over the phone, and I'm like writing them down on Post-it notes and shit.
You're never supposed to do that. That's never supposed to happen.
And it's just like, you know, like, they get to me and it's like, why are you like some people literally will be making like they'll have a household income of like $250,000 and be like, here's 5% of that to you. Welcome to our family. Yeah. Like, that's what it feels like. It's really strange.
I feel like I've seen the prerequisite to that kind of sales situation. You know, if people are coming into your place and they have this like you said, they kind of just need to be guided where they already want to go, and you have to pick up on that.
Right.
You have to kind of, you know, gauge that from talking to them, literally talking to them and being a person. From working in like places like Quick Trip or like grocery stores, shit like that, you're seeing people who are like on a mission to get this one little cheap thing they want, and it's like a 44 ounce Red Bull. It's a fucking whatever, you know. It's a hot like burger,
they need it now.
Like a sandwich. They need it right now.
I need it now.
And what's funny is that like I'm just watching that, and I had so much I would get so caught up in watching that because I have different swings. I swing from, you know, feelings to feelings. One of them is not really a feeling, but it feels like a feeling. It's just like intense observation to the point where I'm like blacked out and like intense like ranting.
Right.
You know, like I'll just go off on something. You know this. I'll just go off on something. Or I'll be like silent and just taking in everything all at once. So when these kind of people come up and I'm in the mood to observe, like I'm seeing like really dark shit, especially in that specific environment. It's really weird. That's the way things work, right? Like in that, like there's environments for that.
When you work in like because I worked in the grocery store, it is kind of like you do feel a little bit of disgust when you see like average sized Americans coming in and like it's just fucking Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, the ho-hos, the fuck, like it doesn't end. It's just this gluttonous fucking and it's just like it looks like a walking sin, like just and sometimes they hover around, you know what I mean? They're sometimes. Like beep beep throughout the like store and they're just piling in it, like truly like I'm amazed I haven't seen like a woman, and I feel like it's a lot of times it's women and sometimes it's men, but it's like usually it's like a bigger woman and she gets to like the soda aisle and she like just sticks her fucking bratwurst hands into like the soda aisle and just dumps it into the fucking hover around cart. And it's amazing that is a reality.
The human body is capable of of so much poison.
Right.
There was that guy, that scientist, like decades ago, who would like, he probably actually didn't really succeed at this, but he would try to make himself immune to poison. Who was that? Do you guys know about that?
You tried putting the venom in him over and over, right?
It was some sort of venom or some sort of like weird chemical that he tried to make himself.
And he took a little bit every day.
He would take like a small, like, tolerable dose to make himself immune.
How weird.
How much poison is equivalent to like a 2 liter of Dr. Pepper?
It's pretty good. I mean,
it's a good amount of poison.
How about
it's mostly sugar.
How about a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese? Truly.
Ooh, that sits in your stomach like a bowling ball.
Right. It's just like cardboard.
Yeah.
Like when Subway got caught with the whole yoga mats in their bread thing.
What?
Yeah, looked at. Huh? Can we get a fact check on that one? Where Subway's bread really wasn't bread.
Doing that.
Really wasn't bread.
That. It smells like sneakers.
And their tuna wasn't tuna. They got in trouble for that one too.
Wait, so
nothing's anything.
Subway's bread isn't bread?
So yeah, look up Subway caught for not selling bread. Did they found like the... You found it, didn't you? It's revolting.
And we should...
For Subway ruling not so sweet, Irish court said its bread isn't bread.
The Supreme Court of Ireland.
In a decision shocking to those familiar with the $5 footlong, Ireland's Supreme Court has ruled Subway's bread isn't actually bread, at least not legally.
Oh, God. There's legal bread? Fuck.
That's because the bread has too much sugar, the court said Tuesday. The country's Value-Added Tax Act of 1972 says tax-exempt bread can't have sugar. Oh, so I was wrong. But I know the yoga mat thing was real.
Wait,
look up Subway yoga mat.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm not BSing. I'm telling the truth. I remember reading it, probably on like Reddit, but it was read in my mind.
The yoga mat chemical.
Yes.
Almost 500 foods contain the yoga mat compound. This is NPR.
The yoga variable.
The yoga mat.
Almost 500 foods contain the yoga mat compound. Should we care? The compound found in commercially baked bread. Yep, that's the one. And you did look at Subway right there. The picture they're literally using. Yep, that's the one in yoga mats too. It's in the news again. A report from the Environmental Working Group finds that compound azodicarbonamide is found in close to 500 products from Pillsbury dinner rolls. Really? Could you imagine that the Pillsbury dinner roll might have a little nefarious chemicals in it? And to Little Debbie products to Wonder Bread. None of those surprise me.
No.
It's the entire bread aisle. That's what they might as well say.
Like when I was living with my dad, when there wasn't Paelli's bread in the house, there was a loaf of bread that would go bad in 2.5 days.
Right.
It would sit on top of a thing and it would be black by the time that I went to go make a sandwich.
I lost it. Well, I'm just saying. It's interesting watching an exorbitant amount of consumerism and how willingly we listen, like soda, right? You shouldn't drink it. If you were about to die of dehydration and you had no clue what the world really held, and you came across a black bubbling pond, would you drink it? You wouldn't drink it. You would go, danger. But for whatever reason, when we slapped that Coca-Cola label on it, we're like, that's yummy and that's for me, right?
Put a little culture on it and it becomes suddenly consumable.
Right. Would you ever do sales? Do you think you could do it?
I think I probably could. I wouldn't want to do it if I was super if it was my only chance at making money. I don't know if I would be. It would stress me out a little bit, but at the same time, it might be kind of a fire under your ass a little bit. It seems like it kind of is for a lot of people.
Because you have to go to work.
Because you have to go to work and you have to make the sales. You have to learn how to do it. So I mean, it's kind of a
It'd be interesting to see you in that.
It would be, yeah. Because I just got a new job. Actually, I actually start tomorrow. And it's in a warehouse.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It's gonna be good money, and it's in a warehouse. And the difference between the way that a mind of a salesperson and of a warehouse worker works is that, like you said, the salesperson is hungry. That's their archetype. They're hungry. for, you know,
they're starving.
Like, they're starving. They're literally starving for like opportunity and a way to like get in, like a you know, like an upper edge.
Mm-hmm.
But a warehouse worker is starving for routine, structure. They're starving for like to turn off their brain in a sense.
Put the box on the rack, take the rack.
Yep, scan it, put it out, do it 50 more times and go home.
And just black out.
You know.
Black out for 8 hours. I can't do that at my
No,
job.
like I can do that at certain jobs. Like that's the thing. It's like, would I rather have my source of income be me turning off my brain for 10 hours a day? Or would I rather have it be like this thing where I'm kind of learning and like learning about myself and learning about like, you know, like other people. And you would think you would think that like in a job where you're kind of mindless, you get time to kind of like, you know, be introspective, but no, you just have, there's so many little steps you have to do that you don't have time to really think about shit. Otherwise you fuck up. Otherwise you run into a pillar and it topples over, then they drug test you and you get fired type shit.
This is a bit of
that happened to me not me. It happened when I worked at Pfizer. There was a friend of mine named Jake. It doesn't matter, but he's already fired. I worked in the vaccine department with him for the COVID vaccine, and he was driving a forklift.
He's in. First of all, he's in on it.
This episode brought to you by Pfizer.
Calm down. So he was driving a forklift, and I know this kid fucking blows racks. Like I was there when he was doing it once, and he would be high at work most of the time. And he was driving this forklift. He had just got trained on it like 2 weeks before, and he takes a corner too fast, and he has too big of a load on the forklift, like where he can't really see like certain parts of it. He clips one of the giant racks in a warehouse, and merchandise just falls the fuck off.
Someone could have died.
But do you know how much money and product he damaged?
Can I guess?
Yes, it's
more than $1 million.
It's in that it's close to like it's millions, but it's not like an exceptional amount.
It's probably like $24 million.
No.
Really?
No, it was like 1.5 million.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
He had a vaccine shortage on his watch. He just broke them all.
Like 25 people in North Carolina didn't get the jab because
of him.
No, it was kind of funny. My dad told me about it, and I was like, I should see him. I was like, see Jake.
They let him go, I imagine.
Oh, they tested him that day. Yeah. I think they gave him a blood test.
I imagine.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a tangent. I really want to talk about this because I don't think you've ever heard about this before, and it's a bit of an interesting thing for this episode. So I was watching a video on the creation of Reddit.
Oh.
And what's crazy is that the original CEOs of Reddit, their first idea that they wanted to do to get big was the idea of ordering online delivery no matter what the restaurant was.
Really?
So they came up with DoorDash before DoorDash. And the reason they didn't do it is because the infrastructure wasn't there. The internet was too young to do it, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That idea.
There's like 7 different versions of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was 2 CEOs, and then they teamed up with another guy, and they all kind of had different philosophies. One was like, he was like, I want to make money. And one of them was like, I want to make the internet the most free place in the world. And one of them was like the bridge between the 2. And so they built Reddit. And the reason why they called it Reddit is I read it on Reddit. That's the point. And as things went along, they eventually got bought out by somebody, and they made a lot of money. And the guy who was like, I want the internet to be the most free place in the world, ended up like doing stuff for WikiLeaks. He started trying to hack into the US government and just steal as many files from the Department of Defense as he could. And the guy ended up they got him.
Oh, yeah. Because they didn't get Assange and Snowden. But there's got to be some they got.
He was the one that they made an example of. He made it 3 months in federal prison and killed himself.
Fuck.
Isn't that crazy? Like, this guy was a cowboy of the internet, and you're right. They were mad that they didn't get Snowden, and they were mad they didn't get Assange, and they got Chelsea at one point, who was another whistleblower, but Chelsea got fucked up. Like, she went to jail. Like, she
for a while.
Most likely they screwed with her.
Yeah.
Of like, you don't mess with the bull.
Yeah. Well, that was one of those things that was heavily debated topics of like torturing American citizens.
Yeah.
Who wronged the government.
You can only imagine what kind of hell that guy was in. Like, you know damn well they put him in what's the thing? Like solitary confinement for really long periods of time. Not to mention
whatever they probably did to his like relatives or friends.
Right.
They probably like terrified them.
Right.
You know?
They're like, you stepped out of line and now this is what happens to you, kind of thing.
Do you know the name of this guy that got whacked?
Did you look up who the original Reddit CEOs? There's only 3 of them.
CEOs?
Yeah, the original Reddit creators.
Uh-huh.
And then just show me a picture and I can point them out. It's a crazy thing though. And immediately when I watch them,
comes up as Julian Assange stuff.
The CEO of Reddit?
Yeah, I type in Reddit CEO WikiLeaks.
No. Don't look up the WikiLeaks thing. Just look up the CEOs of Reddit. Because I'll point out which one it was. There's only 3 of them. But yeah, I was like, the moment I read them, like, they got him. Like, they black bagged him, threw him in a prison, and then he died. And then part of you is like, did he really die?
Did he really die?
Did he really die?
Did they? You know how fucked up it would be to have somebody held prisoner and then to tell them that everybody in the world thinks you're dead, thinks that you committed suicide, that you're a weak
this guy?
Like victim.
I think it's no. That's Ohanian. No, wait, go back. Dude, they probably do. They took him off. Go to the all real quick. Go Reddit Wikipedia. All right, scroll down. The founder, I think it's click on Aaron Swartz. This dude. Yeah.
He's a cutie.
They died January 11, 2013 at the age of 26. Suicide by hanging. They got this guy. What was he trying to do?
Activism.
Yeah, he was all about trying to, he was about climate change. He was about like the freedom of information, everything. And he was stealing pretty much information.
Can you go up a little bit, Bryce? There was something I saw. Right. One more. Sorry, no, keep. Oh, here we go. Okay. In 2008, Schwartz founded Watchdog.net, the good government site with teeth to aggregate and visualize data about politicians.
Right.
That would be really wild.
Right. In 2008, Schwartz downloaded about 2.7 million federal court documents stored in the PACER, the public access to core electronic records database managed by the Administrative Office of the United States Courts. Yeah,
Wow.
He did it because he wanted to have everything stored somewhere else. He was just like, why? He doesn't want the government to have access to like silencing it. And then he got investigated by the FBI. He just didn't stop. Like even right here, yeah, he was in 2008, Schwartz founded Watchdog. That year he wrote widely circuited Guerrilla Open Access Manifesto. On December 27, 2010, he filed a Freedom of Information Act request to learn about the treatment of Chelsea Manning, alleged source of WikiLeaks. Yeah, that was Chelsea Manning got put in a hole. They made her disappear, and then she came back because of this guy, pretty much, which is crazy. Click on Chelsea Manning. I want to read more about her real quick, just to get more information about her.
Where's my
right here at the top.
Yep.
Yeah. Chelsea Manning. American activist and whistleblower. She's a former United States Army soldier who was convicted by court-martial in July when her sentence was commuted. A trans woman, Manning, stated in 2013.
Oh, sorry, no, you misread that. You think
that she had
court-martial in July 2013 of violations of the Espionage Act and other offenses.
Yeah, they made her disappear for a little bit. She was pretty much showing how we were actually
I didn't know she was trans.
Blowing people up in like Afghanistan and how we were just like everybody was a suspected terrorist in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So the United States government just like blow them up.
Yeah.
We'll just kill them.
All of them.
All of them. And Chelsea Manning's like, it was the one who kind of like broke the lid on what we were actually doing in Afghanistan. And WikiLeaks was the one who leaked all the documents pretty much that the government was trying to hide. And then they got her under they accused her of being a spy, because people don't really understand that Obama was supposed to be someone who protected whistleblowers. Like that was something he ran on, because his whole thing was the fact that we just had a really corrupt administration, the Bush administration, the Bush-Cheney administration, which he was right. And he was like, we need to protect whistleblowers, because if we're going to be Americans, we need to make sure that the war we're fighting is clean and that we're not mistreating our own soldiers and we're not mistreating our own people who are working within the Department of Defense. He said that, got into office, and then forgot.
And then had a 5-year-long manhunt for Edward Snowden.
Yeah, and
locked up people in high max security prisons.
Disappeared people.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
See, this is interesting because this Schwartz guy from Reddit, he's talking about a lot of decentralization being like an important part of
the internet,
because it can decentralize power from the government.
Yes,
when and if they want to obscure records.
Yes.
That's interesting. That reminds me of things that are happening right now that we were thinking about talking about, that have just been happening with the whole Spotify, Joe Rogan, Neil Young situation. Because Spotify, I'm beginning to realize through all of this, is that it's becoming more and more of like a centralized artistic platform. They
want to be the only ones you can listen to music on, and
podcasts, and that's not good, because then they're more prone to backlash for censorship, or for to know real backlash of their censorship.
Right. Well, and the whole thing with the Joe Rogan thing, because they're like, it's such a wacky situation, because a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, I should say maybe 10%, maybe 5%, genuinely believe Joe Rogan is a transphobe. A lot of people don't know who Joe Rogan is. A lot of people know of Joe Rogan, and a lot of people do know who Joe Rogan is.
Well, biggest critics of his show are people who've never seen the show.
Right. I'm not a Joe Rogan fan. I used to be. I'm really not. He started getting annoying. He got insanely disconnected from the real world. He sometimes talks about his money in such a like disconnected way. And Tim Dillon talked about this when he met him, how Joe Rogan like was talking about like how Tim Dillon was like, oh, I need to go get a couch. And like Joe Rogan's like, oh man, dude, that's like going to be like $5,000 to get a couch. And I remember Tim was like, Joe Rogan, how much do you think a thing of toothpaste costs? Joe Rogan is like, probably like $10 now. Because Joe Rogan never buys the toothpaste. Yeah, he sends people out to go buy.
No, he's gotten to a level. He's gotten to a level very late in life, which is weird.
And now when you listen to him, he really is like, yeah, I'm famous. He never used to be that way. He never.
I don't think he abuses it though. See, like I don't think he necessarily abuses that.
No, but because now if he says it,
right? But I think there's evidence that he's using that notoriety to get like more prolific researchers and professionals on his show, which is not necessarily interesting to like his former base, which was interested in comedians and musicians and actors and athletes and conspiracies and
drugs.
And shit. Yeah, that base is kind of slipping in a sense, and I think that he, I don't know if he's gonna ever try to reconnect with that base, but I think he should, in order to avoid becoming like a Larry King, becoming someone who's definitely, because Larry King was on a network, and Joe Rogan is now on a network, a multi-billion-dollar network called Spotify.
Right.
And that's maybe it's not the case yet that he's owed to Spotify, but they did give him $100 million.
They gave him $100 million.
It might get to that point, but
he's got to be worth like $200 million at this point. That's a lot of money for a guy who just talks into a fucking microphone.
It is.
It really doesn't add anything. Like, he doesn't, like, every time I listen to Joe Rogan, he keeps iterating the same thing over and over. Like, the two topics every time that I see a comedian who I like on his podcast is fucking ivermectin and trans people. That's all he ever talks about. He's obsessed. I think he likes trans people. I think he likes them. I think like he keeps talking about them, and it's like this is and the thing is like CNN gives him so much. Why did they play his video on CNN? Like, what are we doing? That video,
they did it to inflate
the opposition.
So
dumb, dude. That fucking video on Instagram had 1 billion views. 1 billion views. What is the point? We go, this guy doesn't matter. Oh, let's watch him 1 billion times and put him on national television. And it's like, and to be fair, I will say it's because they just released like the ratings for the Joe Rogan podcast
versus other mainstream media.
He's doing better than all of them. Which again, I get where this is the power base of media. How can we let one guy be like have a huge voice in the thing? And it's like, I gotta be honest with you. Joe Rogan is in the same way as Joe Biden. Neither one of them have any real power. Like, they're just people.
Do you really think Joe Rogan doesn't have any influence over?
No, they have influence, but none of it really matters because it ends up in the same box. Like, at the end of the day, it ends up as a clip on CNN, which both of them just say something wacky, and then they both end up in a clip on CNN or Fox News.
Here's the thing: that was never supposed to be the end result for this kind of media, this new media of podcasting. Like, that's the precedent that old media set for it. Well, and like, because there's money involved and because like there's high level players involved with Joe Rogan, that's where the train's being directed to. I'm not saying it's not his fault, and I'm not saying that he should be aware of it, because he fucking should, with the amount of like privilege he has to be in that circle and to be at that level. He totally should understand that. Even fucking Tim Dillon knows that, who makes like 90% less money than him.
Right.
Who has the same career as him, 2 of the same careers as him. Like, I think that Joe Rogan ultimately right now doesn't understand that he is becoming a centralized network.
Well, I think
but he's a more trustworthy centralized network, I would say, than like CNN. However, it's still a problem because he's not going to be able to push the boundaries as a more diverse media.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is
Tucker
actually
Carlson,
insane.
3.2 million views.
The Joe Rogan Experience gets 11 million views on average
per show. That's
then Tucker, oh boy, busting it down sexual style. Dude, this right here, we're a loser. Like, this is clear evidence. Like, this is what it's insane. This is truly what's insane about this, is that 11 million people think that this is the true alternative choice. And maybe it kind of is, but not really anymore. Because this, if the Joe Rogan Experience is at 11 million views per show, it's no longer a cult classic.
No.
It's a hit. It's a cultural influencer. And
it's like when everybody found out about David Lynch and Quentin Tarantino. It no longer became like this niche.
It's not artsy
thing.
anymore.
No, because... Well,
I keep this up because this is actually insane. Like,
yeah.
How is it that Joe Rogan has 3 times the next media person, the news media person?
Almost
first of all,
yeah.
What's wrong with us? How is it Tucker? Like, it's Tucker, and then it's
Tucker's a cutie,
and then it's the 5 Hannity Fox News Prime. Why are so many conservatives watching the news still?
Libs get all their stuff from Facebook,
and then conservatives are older in a sense too, and they're watching primetime more.
Wow, CNN primetime average is less than 1 million people.
That is hilarious.
So we really are at that point where it's like when someone says, if someone talks on CNN. you can truly go, nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
And the reviews show it. Our show has more views than that.
1/300th of the country watches that show.
The Tipped and Sip podcast has more views on average than CNN. They just didn't include us in the list out of respect.
We were going to be right after prime time. Actually, no, fucking Hardball was probably right underneath.
Don't you mean at the top of the list?
No,
yes,
we're too...
Bernie Sanders us. They didn't include us in the polls.
Yeah, they didn't even put us in.
But this is insane to me. I mean, this says so much about the current culture, because in the fact that so many people are like, they hate the Joe Rogan experience. He's a transphobe. He's a racist. He's a anti-vaxxer. But it's like 11 million people actively don't care. Like, they actively are
because that's
involved.
Not true.
Yeah, that's a false characterization, I think. He's gotten himself into some, little controversies, but
he said some. I will absolutely go on record. I believe that he has definitely said some questionable things about trans people. 100%. Yes. His Abigail Schreier video and this doctor that he had on, like right after that, both very questionable podcasts, and you should listen to them just to understand why so many people believe that, because those two episodes are like, wow, for a man to go, I'm not a doctor, but then like have someone who has a doctorate come on and be like, I'm gonna just say this, and then you have hundreds of other doctors going, this woman is insane and doesn't know what they're talking about. And it's just like, I mean, to be fair, the man has had on Milo Yiannopoulos and Gavin McInnes. Like, it's one of those things. Where do we, like, is it one of those things where it is a podcast that should have, like, everybody
of everything?
But to be fair, have we had a podcast where Joe Rogan is talking to someone who is a true, like, has a medical degree, psychology degree, and is talking about what being transgender, what the gender spectrum is, what gender dysphoria is? Because that hasn't happened yet. So like, I get it, but if there's going to be like, he's had Gavin McInnes on. He's also had Bernie Sanders. I think that's a clear representation of we literally have both sides of this country on. But that is one issue that he doesn't follow through on. I will say that he doesn't. I think he purposely doesn't care about showing the other side of.
It's hard because, like, should he go into either side? It's hard because
should he go into either? Yes, I think he should, because it's a cultural. If you have 11 million on average, and this is part, and you're part of the culture, then you should have something that's, if you're gonna host them, the other side, then you should have the other side. If you're gonna be such a supporting and cultural icon, and then what's the response to that? I don't need to do it. And that
is his response to that kind of thing. He's like, well, I do what I want with my podcast.
I don't need to do it. But then it's like, Joe Rogan, that's sus, because you do it with every other topic. You've done it with every single other topic, but you won't do it with this one. You've had, even with dumb shit, UFOs, conspiracies. He's had plenty of conspiracy theorists on, and he's had episodes,
like former CIA agents.
Right. He's had people who've written books about how conspiracies are like a weird emotional trap that people, if they don't feel that they have any control of their lives. And it's just like, it's insane, because it's like, now you have Neil Young and Joni Mitchell pulling their music from Spotify because they don't support them having Joe Rogan on. And it's just like, I don't know who the bully is, because it's like a weird free market thing. Spotify has the right to have every artist that they want on, no matter what they say. Like, truly, you have the Joe Rogan Experience, and you have the Young Turks. You have CNN. You have NPR. If you look at what podcasts that Spotify pushes the most, they're all liberal. They're all liberal podcasts. Joe Rogan is not on that list. They'll do commercials for him, but they won't put him on the new hot podcast this year. Read the titles of the new hot podcast. They're embarrassing. They're boring. They're so like left wing in insane world, like not interesting world. They're not having real conversations, but those are the ones that Spotify pushes, almost as this weird way of saying, we're sorry for signing the bald man. We didn't mean to, but we'll push this content. Yeah, Spotify is removing Neil Young songs after he complains of misinformation. Yeah, the COVID. And now the video's blacklisted. But yeah, that's...
Well, here's the thing. Like, I always hate going to the lesser of two evils thing, because usually it's bullshit to bring that up when it's a political thing. But in my mind, Joe Rogan versus, say, Fox News or MSNBC is the lesser of two evils. It's because I think we might have more influence over what happens on the Joe Rogan show. Now, yes, this particular episode. No, like we as the viewers would have more influence over, how that show might change, or how at least how we consume that show would change.
Right.
We have never had that over CNN, MSNBC, Fox News.
This is true.
And we will never have it unless it's things like ratings. That's the only way that we're going to be able to get those shows to turn off. And they need to turn off because we don't want any more. I don't want any more brains fried by something like that. I want them to be fried by our show.
They can get,
but it's better when it's fried by us, because like we're not really we're not propagandists. Like we don't serve the state in a sense.
Right.
Like that's what that's eventually. The ultimate. Well,
we will have to.
That's the ultimate decentralization. I feel like this is the thing that's symbolic about Joe Rogan. Like, yes, his show is behind the times, and it's definitely not perfect, and it's like never been, and it probably won't be. But
there's a compilation of him saying the N-word on YouTube.
There is. Yeah.
He says it like 40 times.
Yeah.
And he put it in his special. He's like, I watched the video of me saying the N-word 42 times on YouTube. And it's like you watch it because it's like, it's Joe Rogan.
It's just when he says the word, or like the words right before it.
It's literally, yeah. And it is.
No, because
it's a spectacle.
It's a spectacle, but that's what this whole thing is. Why do you think people started podcasts? Why do you think people make
Why did we start the podcast?
It's kind of to make a spectacle of our thoughts.
Right.
And that's definitely why Joe Rogan started it, because he wanted to talk to his friends and fucking be ridiculous.
He did. He recorded them in the green room at the Comedy Store. That's where the first podcasts were recorded. Mm-hmm. Was before and after sets at one of the most legendary comedy spots in the world. Mm-hmm. So,
and people can grow from that, and Joe Rogan's definitely grown from that. Really, everybody starts a podcast. That's the cliche about podcasts. Those tweets where it's like, what do you call 4 white guys in a room? A podcast. And it's tweeted a billion times by bot accounts.
We had a nerd fucking comment on our TikTok.
Oh yeah, that was a nerd. Yeah. Did you actually respond to him?
I did. We had
the comment got deleted.
Nerd that responded that said he's like,
let me pull it up.
Yeah, find it, because this guy. And first of all, embarrassing. It's like, yeah, which one was it? It was such a stupid. We get so much hate this podcast. We get calls from the mayor about how they're going to condemn the building we record in.
Yeah, account user Nolan99 Peterson. Hello. Commented, the age-old question: what came first, the podcast or the aesthetic of white guys who do podcasts? It doesn't make sense.
And then what I respond with?
You said something about him being an incel, but I think the comment got deleted.
He probably reported.
Oh no, you said probably the incel I'm replying to.
And he did not respond.
No,
because he got appropriately flamed up. And imagine taking the time to comment that. Like, how wacky.
He tried to come up with the best wording of it too, and it was really poorly worded.
And it's
kind of fun though.
We're the biggest podcast in America. And it's like so much hate.
You saw the chart.
You saw the chart. We're literally bigger than Joe Rogan. And I just find it, I agree. Like, he's not even wrong, but that's not this podcast. Like, do you ever, like,
No.
Two white guys and we get deep sometimes. Oh, Jarod. Like, it's so wacky because I've listened to those podcasts.
Yeah.
And that's not this podcast.
It's really contrived. And you can tell it's people who don't really have any they're the most shallow human beings. Like, it is annoying to me that the cliche about podcasts is that that it's like a way for people to feel more important or to like have their words be valued higher than they are.
Listen,
they deserve.
The guy who commented on our post and the two white guy the people who really do the two white guy aesthetic and the woman with the bratwurst fingers at the grocery store are the same people. They're just scootering around, just filling up their cart with more and more things. It never really ends. Every TikTok, every comment, that's the thing.
Take your poison.
That's their poison.
Just take your poison.
It's all greed.
You don't pick your poison sometimes.
And selfishness and large bratwurst-like fingers. It's crazy to think that there's 600-pound people out there.
Yeah.
That are just immobilized in the bed. And for no good reason. Like, they don't have a gland problem. Like, they just kept eating.
I like seeing a person that big just laying on the ground. I think that's a funny image of... I'm just like, I got nothing.
Not hurt, just people. Laying.
No, nothing's wrong with them. They're just immobilized, laying on the ground, and they're like this big, like they're almost like a monument when they're laying on the ground. They almost look like it's just Patrick Starr's rock on the ground, and like it's. Okay. I think it's kind of beautiful.
Don't feel like you're all awkward. It's crazy to think that there's 600-pound people out there.
That's a lot of weight.
You get to that point and it's impressive. It's crazy that the body can sustain itself. Like, how is that evolutionary? Like, how did that happen? Like, they just get, like, it keeps stacking it on. Like, how is there not a wall to weight gain? Like, how is there not a point where you can't?
There is.
Well, no,
I'm sure if you push it far enough, you'll find the wall.
But how does it not stop before, like, 400? You know what I mean?
Here's the thing.
How is 350 not the peak?
Is someone who's gaining weight thinking about the wall? Is someone who's scrolling endlessly through TikTok thinking about their wall? They're thinking about the next TikTok on their For You page.
This is true. We gorge ourselves in many ways.
Consumers.
The wall comes when you least expect it and when it's least desirable.
Like alcoholism.
But it is irrefutable.
Right.
It is undeniable and unstoppable.
Like when someone truly turns to you and goes, "You're an alcoholic."
Yeah.
That's the wall.
And if you don't stop drinking, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, truly. You're ruining my life because, if someone, it's a weird thing to think about. Like, it's a reason it's a sin, Bryce. I don't know if you read the Bible. You're kind of...
He does have a church shirt on. He's got the St. Mary's Church merch on right now.
Bryce is a sinner, after all.
Yes.
I want to talk about... Can we talk about our number?
And then let's wrap it up because it's the end.
No, it's not.
I did call my dad an alcoholic a few days ago.
What's the big deal?
And I was the wall. I was trying to be the wall for him right then and there.
Did it work?
No.
No. It didn't work. It didn't work. He was upset that I assumed. And I was like, I've seen. And yeah. But you should be the wall for people sometimes.
Be the wall.
Let's talk about the number before we get excited here. Before we get any more exciting news from you and your family. We have a number. We have a fun number. Bryce went ahead and set up a number for us, for all of you little fun listeners, to call us and leave us voicemails that we can listen to on the podcast. This is us looking for more fan interaction. And that number is 262-770-5763. Again, that is 262-770-5763. Call us. It's free.
Call us whenever. You can call us even when we're recording the episode, which is about 7:30 to 8:30 on Sunday nights.
And I don't want anybody leaving any nasty messages on our voicemail. I don't want any swear words. I don't want you mentioning any sort of diseases because that's going to get us blacklisted.
Unless you have diseases that we can talk about and make fun of.
That's different.
Alcoholism.
I don't want any profanity or because people are going to get silly. You know, people are going to leave some probably racist comments.
Well, I'm going to screen everything ahead of time. I'm not going to show you guys, though.
No, we'll screen them live on the show, and we'll decide which ones we want to respond to at the time of hearing them.
Also, we'd like to shout out Mike. He's a big fan of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, shout out Mike. Sorry I couldn't meet you the other night.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike and Amy, for delicious meal, and yes.
No one has any idea what we're talking about.
It doesn't matter.
Mike.
We need to end the episode. We went on for wait. This was enough 30 minutes ago.
Call us. Call us.
Call the number. Well, thank you for everybody for watching. You can check us out, Tipped and Civ, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all of the things. Please check out That's a Beauty Productions, the people who help us set up the studio. Please check out www.ikenosha.com for the people who set us up with the studio space. And thank you for tuning in. See you next time.